Hello and welcome to Paper Plays Julie K.
Thanks so much for stopping by and checking out my latest video. Today I have a project share for an altered muffin tin that I created for a private swap with Amy Love here on YouTube. I do have Amy's channel listed below in the description box if you guys want to go and check her out. She is a wonderful shabby chic creator. She not only does project shares, but she also has tutorials. And speaking of tutorials, I am working on a tutorial or a process video on how I put this altered muffin tin together, and so hopefully I will have that up in the next week or so. I do have a lot of videos to go through and edit because this was definitely a labor of love and it took a lot of time to put this together, but I definitely love it and it was definitely worth it, and hopefully Amy likes it as much as I love it. And I did this in kind of a shabby vintage style. My main inspiration did come from a video that Jennifer, who is ATraceofSparkle, I believe, she received a swap from Doreen, who created an altered muffin tin, and so I will leave that link below also in the description box because that was kind of my inspiration for this altered muffin tin, along with the fact that I had some vintage bridal lace applique that I really wanted to use on this project. And I did end up actually dyeing that bridal lace just because it was already somewhat stained. It did come off of a wedding dress that I took apart. And so now just to go ahead and get into this altered muffin tin that I created, you can see I created a whole bunch of gorgeous flowers up at the top, and I'll hold those up. And I use lots of different layers. There's organza in here. All of them have bling or pearls in them. I use some eyelash trim. There might be tulle in some of them. A couple different types of synthetic fabric. I do have some old lace curtains in some of these. A lot of them do have doilies in them also. So there are a lot of layers in each of these flowers. So here's the next one, just a little bit different center, very similar. There's organza and the synthetic material. And the material, actually, I ended up buying a pantsuit at the thrift store and using that because I had a hard time finding the right type of material color that I wanted at the craft store. And so here again you can see a little bit of lace in there. I did gather some trims. This is some vintage trim right here for one of my layers. Some more doilies. This one again very similar, and this one I did use some more trims right here, and then this is a Battenberg doily on the bottom of that one. This one I do love the center. I use some pearls, but it kind of reminds me of a little bird's nest. I think that's adorable. So again, layers of that synthetic material. There's organza and lace in this one. Some more doilies, some more gathered vintage trim, and another doily on that one. Here's another flower. The center very similar. This one again I have some more lace curtains that I added in there, and then I also have some snippets of lace. You can kind of see that right here that I layered inside of this one. There's 3 of them sticking out. There is some cheesecloth in this one, another doily, and then the Battenberg doily also at the bottom. Then the last flower that I created, and I did create this one on my tutorial, so you guys will be able to see the process of how I put this flower together. But very gorgeous, again, with all the synthetic layers, some lace, some doilies. I have some gathered trim in there, a doily, and then another flat. I don't know if you want to call this a doily or what you want to call that, but I do have that last flower. And so then when you look at the actual tray, I did create some cups to hold all of my goodies in each of them. And so these cups are made from some plastic containers that I painted. They were Gladware, like that cheap, or the Tupperware that you buy in the grocery store, the Glad brand. And they're like a muffin size. I also created my muffin tin out of the little bit larger muffin tin sizes. There are some smaller muffins. These are the larger size one, just because I wanted to make sure that my cups fit in them. But as you can see on the cups, besides painting in them, I did go ahead and add some of that bridal lace, and then also some pearls around the edges for my cups just to decorate them. And each cup has something different in it. So this one I did alter some paper clips. They have lace, some eyelash trim, and then also a snippet of the bridal lace, and a couple of them have buttons on them instead of the trim on the top. And then if you look inside the actual muffin tin, you can see there's some crackle, because I did go ahead and paint my tins and crackle it. And then also at the bottom of each one, I added a doily for decorative purposes. Inside of this one, I added some handmade flowers that I made. This one's just a bunch of organza layers. And the swap that Amy and I were doing, it was just kind of an embellishment swap also along with the muffin tin. And so in this one, I created some altered paper clips. And it's basically where you take a paper clip and you wrap some paper or material around it and decorate it up. So I did paper on mine, and I wrapped it with some eyelash trim, and they all have a button on them. And then I did hang, I have some of these garment pins, or else they're also called gourd pins, I believe. I did add tags to it because I was thinking Amy does have an Etsy store, and sometimes she sells stuff, so I was thinking like if she sells some lace or something and she wraps some lace around it, she'd be able to attach this to her package, and she could either write the person's name on it or write a little thank you note or just the word thank you on it. Or she could also use these as charms in other projects, or you could add them to junk journals. And then on each of them, I also hung another little garment pin, and I have a button, a charm, and some lace hanging off of it. I thought these were really fun to make. So I have a whole thing full of that for her. Inside this little cup, I created a whole bunch of little chipboard hearts that are fun to add to different projects. So I added those inside this container. In this container, I gifted her a whole bunch of little specimen jars, and inside of these you can see I added some different items. Like this one has some flat back bling in it. I have some flat back pearls. This one has a different type of bling in the middle of it. This one's another version of a flat back pearl that's more decorative. This one is a flat back pearl, but this one kind of has an opal feel to it, like the gem opals. And then this last one is some little flowers. And each of them I decorated with a little bow that had a pearl in it and a little tag. And I just used twine to wrap around the jar. Then in the last container, I altered a whole bunch of clothespins. I added paper on both sides because I like both of my sides to look nice. And then I went ahead and added a snippet, and then a little paper flower and some eyelash trim. And they're all the same in here, other than some of the flowers are different. There's some pink and some peachy colored ones, and then some off-white ones. Then to look at the tin up close, I also went ahead and added some bling to the top. And you can see on the top here, I added all of those appliques, and then there's also some lace pieces to this. On the side of my tin, you can see the little bit of bridal trim hanging over. I do have this layer of trim with pearls on it. And then underneath that, I had some vintage trim or lace underneath that. And I did that all the way around. And then you can see I did decorate my tin as far as I did crackle it. I did paint it and crackle it. And then I put a protective coat over the top of it just to try to protect it a little bit more. So I also wanted to share a couple other things that I made to go inside of Amy's package that I'm sending her. When I first started, I created a couple embellishments that didn't really fit in my containers. And one of those embellishments was these cute little fence embellishments. So I am still going to gift them to her, but just put them in a separate bag and gift them to her. But they're adorable. You can buy these little mini picket fences in like the miniature like dollhouse section of craft stores. And then I went ahead and added some flowers. Some of them are paper, some of them are fabric. I added a little bit of tulle and then also some stamens, flower stamens on each of those, and they're all very similar that are right here, other than the fact I use different flowers on them. I'm also gifting her a quick little tassel that I made with some different trims, and then I went ahead and added some of that beautiful little pearl trim around the edge, and then I also hung a little charm from here, and I did use a garment pin to attach that in case Amy wants to take it off and use it on something else, because I think this is beautiful, this little charm. And then the last little embellishment that I created for her was these little mini jars. I think they're adorable. Again, they're all the same other than some of the flowers are different on them. And then the last thing I wanted to show you is I'm going to gift some little thing in here for Amy. But I just wanted to show you guys how I used those paper clips that I created. I like to add them to bags, or I use them in my junk journals. But then you can gift some sort of little item in here, decorate a cute little bag, and attach that on the top. You could also use those clothespins that I altered, and you could also put a clothespin on the top. So that's one way to use those little embellishments that I am gifting Amy. So again, thank you so much everybody for watching my little project share. And again, if you are interested in my whole process of how I put this together, I am again working on a tutorial. So I hope to see you guys back later for that. Don't forget to check out Amy's channel. I hope you guys all have a wonderful day and happy crafting.